अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Good evening, hearty welcome to all of you. It's been a great day for all of us as we have culminated here for an auspicious occasion. The place is reverberating with so much of knowledge here at Ayodhya, the place of residence of Dr. K.S. Naranacharya. As Lord Rama spread his enlightenment powers from Ayodhya, so does from here too. This place is as if the abode of Rishi Maharshis Veda Vedanta Jnana and energy is deep rooted here from all of us. As we are all eagerly awaiting for this day, for the release of book Insight into the Bhagavad Gita, written by Chaturbhasha Vidwan Dr. K.S. Naranacharya. We are quite ecstatic today. For me personally, a great privilege to introduce Dr. K.S. Naranacharya. Frankly, Dr. K.S.N. doesn't need any introduction. But for all the people who are following Sanatana Dharma and literature, who has been listening his discourses, voices throughout, in and out. He is the yeoman of knowledge, ocean of Vidvat, presently in the present day circumstances, incarnation of Vyasa Maharshi and Valmiki. His Jnana Yajna has been going on for the last 6 decades on Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavata. He humbly says he still has lot to study on the scriptures. That is his greatness. That is his humility. As a customary, to introduce Dr. K.S.N. briefly, it's my privilege. Born in 1933, educated at Mysore and fondly called as Ramayana-acharya for his proficient discourses on Ramayana, he holds a doctorate in English even though a science graduate. He has studied Krishna Yajurveda and also learned all Veda Vedanta from a young age. He was a professor and principal of Karnataka Arts College, Dharwad for over 32 years. He has authored over 70 books on Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, Alvars, Haridasa, Tamil literature, Dr. Bendre and Kautilya. Sri Acharya is recipient of several awards, some of which like Karnataka Kalashri, Sahitya Academy Award, Gamaka Ratnakara, to name a few. He is an invincible debater and a passionate advocate of Sanatana Dharma and its values, virtues. His conversion of epics into interesting novels takes us back to days of Treta and Dwapara Yuga. His discourses on Ramayana, Bhagavata and Mahabharata are so popular and ever interesting to listen. He is one and only preacher of original scriptures from Vedavyasa and Valmiki. We are honored and privileged to publish his book today, that being the effort from Subbu Publications. Also amidst us is guest Mr. Sri Harish. He is an educationist imparting quality education on the basis of Sanatana values in today's world. Having come from a corporate world of aeronautics, if I am right, his passion towards education has made him to open number of schools under Vagdevi institutions. Today, more than 5,000 students study at Vagdevi and get not only education but enlightenment of life too. Also present with us here is Dr. Srikanta Rao, a medical practitioner, is an avid reader of Dr. K.S.N. and associated with Dr. K.S.N. for a long time. A very enthusiast and follower of Sanatana Dharma and values. We are happy to have him here. Welcome to all of you for this auspicious occasion. Thank you.
Namaste. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the book launching ceremony of Dr. K.S. Naranacharya's Insights into the Bhagavad Gita. This is our 14th book, and this is first of Naranacharya's book in our venture called Subbu Publications. Subbu Publications was started to give a platform to Indic authors and Bharatiya authors. Our single point agenda is to provide platform and to spread Hindu values, ethos and culture through publications, research and broadcasting. The very first seeds of starting this venture was sown when Dr. K.S. Naranacharya was expressing about the need to start a publishing venture which would promote Hinduism and Indic values when he was talking in Yellapur about 3 to 4 years back. That's when I decided to start publication, Subbu Publication, in my father's name, that is totally dedicated in this regard. Dr. K.S. Naranacharya also started a firm called institute called Kautilya Institute of National Studies, wherein he published about 15 to 20 books. Today, we pledge to carry forward the same legacy that K.S. Naranacharya has done through Kautilya Institute of National Studies, and we wish to publish all his works in English by translating, this is my wish, to translate all his works in Kannada into English. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's start now for the auspicious moment of releasing the 14th book from Subbu Publications from the hands of Dr. K.S. Naranacharya, Mr. Harish and Dr. Srikant Rao.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಇದೊಂದು ಬಹಳ ಸುವರ್ಣಾವಕಾಶ, ಅಮೃತ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊದಲು ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಅಡಿದಾವರೆಗಳಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮುಡಿಯನ್ನಿಟ್ಟು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ, ಗೌರವದಿಂದ, ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆಯಿಂದ ವಂದಿಸಿ ಒಂದೆರಡು ನುಡಿ ನಮನಗಳಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲಿರೋ ಗೌರವವನ್ನು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸಿ ವಾಗ್ದೇವಿಯ ವರಪುತ್ರ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ವಾಕ್ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಧನ್ಯನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ವೈದ್ಯನಾಗಿ ಈ ಕರೋನಾ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬಿಡುವು ಸಿಕ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓದೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಓದೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನಾನೆಲ್ಲ ಬಹಳ ಓದ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು, ಇದು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾಂಡ. ಇದು ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾವಿರಾರಿದೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳು ಸುಮಾರು 250 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳು. ನನಗೆ ಆವಾಗ ಇದು ಈ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪರಮಾತ್ಮನ ವಿರಾಟ್ ರೂಪ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಥರ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಚಾರ್ಯದ್ದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ್ದು, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮದ ವಿರಾಟ್ ರೂಪ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಥಾಶಕ್ತಿ ಯಥಾಮಿತಿ ನನ್ನ ಬುದ್ಧಿಗೆ ತೋಚಿದಷ್ಟು, ಸಮಯ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನನಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಆನಂದವಾಗಿದೆ. ನಾನವರ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳುಗನಾಗಿ, ಅವರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಓದುಗನಾಗಿ ಧನ್ಯನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಜೀವನ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಒಂದು ಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂಥ ಜ್ಞಾನಯಜ್ಞ. 90 ವರ್ಷಗಳನ್ನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. 90 ಆದಮೇಲೆ 90 ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ 91 ಆದಮೇಲೆ 91ನ್ನು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಮುರ್ಗ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ 19 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ 19ರ ಉತ್ಸಾಹ, 19ರ ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಇರಲಿ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಓಡುವ ವಯಸ್ಸಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಜಗ್ಗದೆ, ಬಗ್ಗದೆ, ಕುಗ್ಗದೆ ಅವರ ಜೀವನೋತ್ಸಾಹ, ಅವರ ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರೇ ಸಾಟಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರ ಲೇಖನಗಳಾಗಲಿ, ಈ ಸುಮಾರು 250 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಬರೆಯೋದು ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಜೀವಿತ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯ ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಕಷ್ಟವಾದಂಥ ಕೆಲಸನ ಏಕ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಏಕಶಕ್ತಿ, ಒಂದು ಮಹಾನ್ ಚೇತನ, ಮಹಾನ್ ಶಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಅವರದನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿರೋದು, ಬರೆದಿರೋದು, ಅದು ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸಾರಸ್ವತ ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ, ವಿದ್ವತ್ ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಂದು ಮಹಾವಿಸ್ಮಯ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ಅದು ಬಹುಶಃ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸುಮಾರು 250 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳು 300, 400, 500 ಪೇಜಿಂದ ಲಕ್ಷ ಪುಟಗಳಾಗೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಗಳು ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಗಳು. ಒಂದು ಲೆಕ್ಕದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 45-50 ಸಾವಿರ ಗಂಟೆಗಳಷ್ಟು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಇದು ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ವ ದಾಖಲೆ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗದೇ ಇದ್ದಂತನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು, ಅವರ ಸಂಪರ್ಕ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು, ಅವರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಆನಂದವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಷ್ಟು ಯೋಗ್ಯತೆ ನನಗೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದದಿಂದ ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡೋ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೂ, ನಾರಾಯಣಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೂ, ನಮ್ಮ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ, ದಾರಾ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ನಿಕಟವಾದಂಥ ಸಂಪರ್ಕ ಇತ್ತು, ಒಂದು ಆತ್ಮೀಯತೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ದಾರಾ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವರು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, 60ಕ್ಕೆ ಅರಳು ಮರಳು ಅಂತಾರೆ. 60ಕ್ಕೆ ಅರಳು ಮರಳು ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ 60 ವರ್ಷ ಹೋಗಿ 30 ವರ್ಷ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮುಂದೆ 30 ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅರಳು ಮರಳುನ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಚಾರ್ಯರು ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಅರಳಿ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ಮರಳು, ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳು. ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಅದನ್ನು, ಈ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು ಸಾರಸ್ವತ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡು. ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ನಾರಾಯಣಾಚಾರ್ಯ ನಮಗೆ ಅವರ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅರಳು ಮರಳುನ ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಮರಳಿ ಅರಳು, ಹಾಗೆ ಅರಳ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಚೈತನ್ಯ ತುಂಬಿರಲಿ, 120-130 ವರ್ಷ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗಿರಲಿ. ಅವರ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕೇಳುವಂಥ ಅವರ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಕಳೆಯೋಣ. ಇದು ಪರಮ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಇಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಾನು ನಮಸ್ಕರಿಸಿ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯ ಅವರು ಬಹಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯನ ಸಾರಸ್ವತ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಹಂಚಿ ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಹತ್ ಕಾರ್ಯ ಇದು. ನನಗೆ ಅನ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ರಾವಣನ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಮಂಡೋದರಿ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೊಂಡೋದಿರಿ. ರಾವಣನ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಮಂಡೋದರಿ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು, ಕನ್ನಡ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೊಂಡೋದಿರಿ. ಆವಾಗ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಯಜ್ಞ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಸಾರ್ಥಕವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ
ಮಂಡೋದರಿ ಗತಿ
ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಮದುವೆ, ಮುಂಜಿ, ಗೃಹ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ಸಮಾರಂಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಉಡುಗೊರೆ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರ ಬದಲು ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಆವಾಗ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಹಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾರಾಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಲುಪುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕಳಕಳಿಯಿಂದ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊತೀನಿ.
Very warm good evening to all the friends. I am very highly privileged and blessed to release this book, Insight into Bhagavad Gita, by Dr. K.S. Naranacharya ji. I was introduced to Bhagavad Gita by this book of Gorakhpur Press, Gita Press Gorakhpur, from my childhood. I got it as a prize in our Karnataka Sangha, Duravani Nagar, probably in my 10th standard. So whenever I get some time, I used to read some verses, and it would not make any meaning that time. And Professor Naranacharya ji, in his enormous discourses, he has told that as he was an young boy, he was asked to by heart by his parents. And he himself has admitted later, as he grew up, he could derive the meanings for that, seeing the things, reading the books. And that's how I was introduced to this Bhagavad Gita. And as I was a college student, I was having lot of friends who are from socialistic background. And you know that student unions are backed up by the political parties. And they were against the concept of our Indian culture and our belief. And somehow, because I was young that time, I also was a little pulled by that idea. That okay, there is nothing called God, everything is science and it is physics. But it so happened that one day when I was in the college campus, I was an NCC student, and we were given the coupons for the snacks once you do the NCC parade. We sat down on the canteen side wall. As we were eating the kesari bath, because that was the very most cherished dish of those days, a few grains fell, and immediately within few minutes some ants started walking there and started eating that. It somehow pulled curiosity after a few days. Who has provided things to food to all these things, these creatures? Why so many creatures? Acharya ji has told, if you see the creation, it is full of varieties. And is there something reason? If everything has to be only science and physics, then I was reading one book. It seems that Thomas Alva Edison, one of the famous scientists, he was famous by that time already, and he was going by trying. And he was a very staunch reader of books, and once he happened to read the Bible in the book. He was around 45-50 years then, and one young boy of around 20 years was in front of him in the train. He happened to ask Edison, he was not aware that he is Edison. He told that, why are you reading Bible? It's just waste of time. Then Edison just smiled at that boy, it seems. And he told then, okay, what is your idea? He told, no, there is nothing called all these things, it is just blind belief. I think you should not waste your time doing all these things. Then Edison thought that, okay, he should invite him to his place. So Edison gives his address and he asks, I am curious to meet you, please come to my place. This young boy, after a few days, he visits Edison's place, and that happens to be Edison's laboratory. So in the laboratory, in one prime place, he has done a beautiful model of the solar system to the scale. Sun being so huge, compared to the sun, if you compare that to a pumpkin, the earth being a small seed, the scalar models also, they were beautifully rotating the way that would rotate and revolve in the axis, in the natural orbits. He saw that and this young boy got amazed. Wow, who designed this? Who did all these things? Then Edison told, no, it happened by itself. It happened by itself. Then he said, no. There seems to be thousands and thousands of gears and mechanism and things like that. How it can happen automatically? Then he explained, no, it happened. Just it is science. It is physics. It happened. Then that young boy will realize, sir, please excuse me. I never knew that you are Edison. I had heard of that. I had not seen you. Then Edison says, see, that Almighty who has created, none of us we know about him. But this Bible gives some light into what it might be. Even I am eager to see. The Creator, if He gives an appointment, I am also eager to see. See, if you think that a small scalar model should have a creator, it should have planning, such a huge universe. So there is a beautiful process into that, a thinking into that, a reason into that. So the cause and reason theory, the cause and effect theory. So he says that the boy gets convinced. And during the college day only, one of my lecturers gave this story. And somehow from that day onwards, I started getting pulled, and the central library was very near to me. I used to go there. I was curious and I read Bible, I was curious and I read Quran. Then I was curious and I read in this Gita Press, Gorakhpur, they have printed in all languages, and they will give the shloka and the Kannada translation. What little I could understand that time, I would understand, but finally I thought that, okay, if there is one person, suppose the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, comes and speaks, everybody wants to see that. If Microsoft, whoever founded the Microsoft, Bill Gates, if he comes and speaks, everybody wants to come and wants to listen to him seriously. That means whoever is the creator, the founder of the company, if he himself comes, means that is the most authentic document. Nowhere on the world you will get a scripture which is authentically told by the Lokadhyaksha, Suradhyaksha, Dharmadhyaksha, Kruta Krutaha. He is the Lokadhyaksha, he is the Dharmadhyaksha, the creator. He says that I appear as Krishna, I am very Sanatana, I have been there from time immemorial, I will be there, I am continuous. So this is, and you have got your dharma which you have to do. And the insights he says, and I enjoyed during the corona season as the doctor read the books. I have been reading Naranacharyaji's book from Taranga time. The Ramayana, Patra Prapancha, everything, the way it used to come, we were waiting for Taranga. And even today I subscribe Taranga in my house. I am the only subscriber for entire Ramurti Nagar, entire Durvani Nagar. Unfortunately, for Taranga I am the only subscriber. That has been the status of the readers today. And those days, and I was thinking this Naranacharyaji, and I would read S.L. Bairapal and Naranacharyaji. Oh, what a contrast. What a contrast. What a contrast. Here you go as per the Veda Vyasa, you go as per the Valmiki, and just like the train moves on the track, there is no deviation. And Naranacharyaji, I don't know whether he is born, the Vyasa himself reborn, Valmiki himself reborn, because while giving the commentary on Bhagavad Gita, he suddenly picks up from Vishnu Sahasranama. He says, Karanam, Karanam, Karta, Vikarta, Gahano, Goha. He suddenly picks up. For us even to remember, it requires lot of effort. But for every shloka, he goes back to Ramayana. And while giving the commentary on Mahabharata, he goes to Ramayana. Some equivalent he picks up. He goes to Upanishads, he picks up. And that can happen only because of the vivid reading, and not just reading. If only reading and information would make you a wise person, libraries would have become doctorates. There is a beautiful sloka told by D.V. Gundappaji. He says, Pustakade doretarivu, only by reading if you get, Mastakade taledamani. I put something on my hair to decorate. But Mastakade holedarivu, if it flashes in your own mind and brain, okay? Mastakade holedarivu, taru taleda pushpa. It is a natural flower which has blossomed in the tree. It will live forever. Even if it falls down, one more flower will come. It will fall down, one more will come. But whatever you have artificially put up, it is lost. So, Mastakade holedarivu, taru taleda pushpa, vastu sakshatkara antarikshanayinda, by insight. Vastu sakshatkara antarikshanayinda, shastritanadindalla mankutimma. Shastritana will give you, you can become a professor. The professor you will get. But if you have to really understand, you have to be a devotee. To get gnana, first you have to be a devotee. And without submitting yourself, surrendering yourself to the Almighty, how do you get the gnana also? So the way Acharya takes from bhakti to gnana to karma. And for karma yoga, he himself is the practical example. At the age of 88, he could have happily taken this as a retirement life. But he thought that whatever the faculty is given to me by the Almighty, and he says, Kshetragna Yoga, when he is giving commentary, beautifully says, this is Kshetra, I am the Kshetragna, Jivatma. Paramatma, okay, he is the superior, whatever we call the master controller of the computer, the server, master server, okay. And he says, this Kshetragna is the launch pad given to me. This Kshetra is the launch pad given to me. And he says, even the willpower is a factor of the body. And the way his theory is so scientifically based, and he says, because he studied chemistry up to, I think, BSc, gives beautiful example from chemistry, from physics, from science, these anecdotes. And one thing I have to appreciate is, another 2 minutes, I will take one thing. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, he says that everybody, whoever have commented on the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, okay, Arjuna just cries, why to elaborate it that much? See, somebody gives you the power and Lord Krishna himself is there as the Sarathi. You could have just killed everybody without second thought. but because you have got the Antahkarana inside. That Antahkarana is very important. That shows the way you have been brought up. That shows the roots of your race. That shows the roots from where you have come up. Because your roots are so deep into these values, that Antahkarana made an Arjuna who had so much of anger on this, the Kauravas, also start loving them, because finally love is everything. And the way he has told about the love, without love can the earth go around sun? Without love can moon go around earth? So the perspective of Naranacharya, sometimes I think whether he is William Wordsworth, sometimes I think whether he is Valmiki, sometimes I wonder whether he is Vyasa. So to be next to a person who is thousands of people put together, thousands of authors put together, thousands of readers put together, there is a symbol called sigma. That means sum total of everything. A person who is sum total of everything. So being seated next to him, like our the introducer you told, it is like seeing the Vishwarupa of Lord Krishna, and the way he introduces Vishwarupa you should see. And the way he has explained some of the best shlokas I like in Bhagavad Gita are Uddaret Atman Atmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva hi Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripur Atmanaha. If you just tell that Naham Karta Hari Karta, you will put everything on God, you will never think on the responsibilities. Krishna again and again and again he told, you are responsible. I may be the doer through you. You may be the instrument. And wonderfully has told, ಎಲ್ಲ ಗುಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಕಸಬರಕೆಗೆ ಏನು ಸುಸ್ತಾಗಲ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಕಸಬರಕೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಗುಡಿಸಿ ಸುಸ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಹಾಗೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ಅನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್, ಬಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಸರೆಂಡರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಟು ದಿ ಆಲ್ಮೈಟಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಎ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಈಗರ್ ಟು ರೀಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೋಸ್ 22 discourses of Swami, though he is K.S. Naranacharya, thousands of people utter him Swami K.S. Naranacharya, because he is a rishi inside, he is a maharshi inside. And that much of, see, once the mango is ripe, the fragrance comes by itself. So you don't have to advertise to the world. So he is not behind any awards, not behind any publicity. He has taken up, that's why I told, maybe Lord Krishna is seated there and listening to him, because he lives in the hearts of the devotees. In Bhagavad Gita also he says, finally he says, Madbhakta Bhava. Just if you are confused, even after telling you all the tips, you are crying. You do one thing, you surrender to me. So the way Naranacharya gives life to the scripture, just like a lyric of the poem takes life when a beautiful musician sings. So this Ramayana, this Bhagavad Gita, it takes a new life and a new perspective when a learned person like Professor K.S. Naranacharya starts giving discourse on them and gives his beautiful the works, the shape of the book for them. And we are so fortunate that we are his contemporaries, because we have seen DVG in the photos, we have seen Darabendra in the photo, and Valmiki and Vyasato we have only heard, and we are able to sit next to a person so divine like him. That itself is the blessing. I think that Mukang Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam is this itself. The very person who just got a book during one of the 10th standard one competition, he got the opportunity to be seated next to a scholar like him. That is Lord Krishna. I think that Lord Krishna is behind everything, because he can control macro also, he can control micro also. Anur Bruhat Krushastulaha. He can be micro of micro, nano of nano, and macro of macro. And such a creator, he comes and says that, okay, I am here, you just follow me. And what else do we need? And we foolish Indians, in the name of secularism, the very reason I started my school was, when my son's Tilak was erased by the convent in which he was studying, I thought, if I cannot practice my own the beliefs in my country, I cannot practice in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, in a Muslim country, Muslims are not able to live. Okay. So here, the Lord who is creator, he comes and says that, okay, And he very beautifully gives the commentary throughout, from the Vishada Yoga to the way he takes to Bhakti Yoga to Karma Yoga, and finally sums up everything. And though in his final last 6th chapter got covered in 20-second discourse, but still I heard that, and I thought that I should be such a lucky person, such a blessed person to listen to him, to be seated next to him, because we all Indians we are lucky because just we are able to sit next to him. And the Lord Almighty, you just call him Atra Abahito Bhava, Stapito Bhava, he is so easily accessible. Sulabaha, Sulabano Hari, Tannavara Aregalige Bittagalano. And I should admire and I should touch his feet for the way he quotes from Tirukural, he quotes from the Tamil verses, all the great devotees. And there are the Vishnu Bhaktas in the Tamil, they are called as Alvars. The quotations from the Alvars, the way he so effortlessly reads, and many times not reading, he doesn't even refer, I think, the way spontaneously he tells, that spontaneity can come only if it is inside, only if Lord Krishna himself is inside and makes him a perfect instrument. Yes, Lord Krishna has made a perfect instrument. Narayana himself is living in Narayana, he is residing in himself. And the Vishada Yoga, the way he has given commentary, and finally I will end up 1 minute, I will take. From there he will tell him, he will tell him, okay, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. And after everything he tell that, okay, you just surrender to me, everything will happen. And he will take him, elevate him, elevate him, elevate him. And after everything also, you can see in the eyes of Professor Naranacharya, Krishna is a mentor, Krishna is a counselor, and Lord Krishna is a friend, Lord Krishna is a Sakha, and Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva. The way he has done justice to all the facets of Lord Krishna, I think nobody else could do like Professor Naranacharya has done. So I have got, sir, infinite admirations to you, and I think it's a blessed day for me to inaugurate unveil the book which is penned by you.
I am equally blessed.
Yes, sir. So, koti pranams to you. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum, Narayanacharyam Vande Jagadgurum. Namaste.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dear friends, I am happy that my book Insights into the Bhagavad Gita, which I myself published under the auspices of the Kautilya Institute of National Studies established by me some 20 years ago. That book is now being published by Subbu Publications by Ritvik Subramanya, a worthy son of a worthy father. Relations between an author and a publisher have to be very smooth, and for the smoothness, one of the conditions is spiritual dedication and self-abnegation. If you bring transactional, accidental values, it will all become mere vyapara. I never wrote books to make money, nor does our publisher publish them just to make money. Money comes, but money goes. What remains is a system of values foundational to the system, the culture of a whole country. Anyway, thank you all. How did I happen to write this book? I have written something like 4 or 5 books on Bhagavad Gita. Some of them in Kannada, some of them in English, all of them in unconventional approaches. Why do I say unconventional? My esteemed friend Harish showed you a book by the publishers published by Gorakhpur. There are thousands of books like that which introduce you to the heart of the Bhagavad Gita as the first step. There is a verse, there is a meaning. Fortunately, some books have good meanings, Unfortunately, some have twisted meanings. It has become a fashion to twist meanings to suit some self-interest of vested people. Anyway, now what annoyed me when I first published this book in Mysore was that we read the book of Bhagavad Gita, but we missed this. As T.S. Eliot puts it, we have had the experience but missed its meaning. Having an experience is one thing, but you may meet a great person, but you may not know him. It's not like reading a newspaper. Seeing is one thing, observing is another thing, noting is yet another thing. Making it inward with you is yet another great thing, nididhyasa. Now, I will give you some examples and then satisfy myself. I don't know whether I will be able to satisfy you in a brief half an hour scale of time, all that I want to say. I should thank, before I forget, my eminent friends on two sides here. One is my family doctor, very affectionate to us, and our relation is not between that of a patient and a doctor at all. Here is another great educationist. Many of you may not know, he was a scientist at ISRO. What drew him back into this education? Today he has several institutions catering to the spiritual needs of something like 5,000 students. He is still building new institutions. Now, what brings these people together? There must be something to bring people together. That is Hinduism. What there is in Hinduism, you have in Bhagavad Gita. Read the Bhagavad Gita, you know the heart of Hinduism. Now, what is there in Bhagavad Gita that you so admire? There is not a language into which it is not translated. Into Chinese also, into Korean, into Russian, of course German. One of the first translations was German. What attracted people towards Bhagavad Gita? Because it is free from the dogmas and the biases that you have in the so-called gospels of other prophetic religions. Krishna was not a prophet. He does not say, accept me, otherwise I will kill you. He doesn't say, yathechasi tatha kuru. Have you heard me patiently? Now hereafter, it is up to you to accept me or to reject me. Yathechasi tatha kuru. Do as you will. Do as you will. Freedom. There is freedom of thought, freedom of difference, freedom of discussion. There is everything free, so there is nothing compulsory for you, and therefore the wonder of Bhagavad Gita is every day you read and you have a new angle of approach. I am now giving lectures in Kannada with a totally new orientation for the benefit of Kannadigas settled abroad. My friend Subramania's daughter has opened a branch of Sahitya Prakashana in America. My books have been sent in packs. Tomorrow they will reach them there. People are tired of so-called self-appointed saints, self-appointed maharshis who go abroad to make money and make Bhagavad Gita as a mere context. The text becomes a context and the context becomes a pretext. Very easily people fail. But American intelligence, that is Indian people who have settled abroad, particularly present generation, they do not want to accept anything unexamined. They do not want to accept anything without examination. They are full of questions, and to answer them is our primary duty if you want to retain them in the Hindu fold. Well, let me give you some few examples. My friend mentioned Vishada Yoga of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Many of you may not wonder whether it is Arjuna Vishada or Duryodhana Vishada. Two people wept on the battlefield. One of them was Arjuna, another was Duryodhana, but for different persons. Duryodhana wept because he thought that his army was insufficient to destroy the enemies, the Pandavas and the Krishna factor. He wanted victory, he wanted early success, shortcut to success. But Arjuna wanted knowledge. So weeping is good if you weep for the right things. You must weep. If you haven't wept, please learn to weep. I'll teach you how to weep. You must know what to weep for. Arjuna wanted knowledge. I have been a confused man, he says. My mind doesn't have a nishchita meaning. Yachreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadhiman tvam prapanna. I am your devotee, I am a surrenderer. My mind is in a state of cloudy situation. I do not know. Tell me what I must do, what is the right thing I must do, right and wrong, you see. He was a person who very deeply believed in dharma, punya and papa, dharma and adharma he knew. But there was a great glimmer in one particular aspect. I don't know. I am afraid none of the acharyas or of the past generations, no Lokmanya Tilak, no Gandhi, no Vinoba Bhave, no modern commentator, none of them perhaps has looked at it this way. I will shock you by saying something. Arjuna's main question was, how shall I equate Duryodhana and Bhishma? Duryodhana is a terrorist, Osama bin Laden, Taliban, no question. How shall I equate Bhishma with him? How shall I equate Drona with him? That was the moment of confusion. Later on, when the war was won and Dharmaraja was coronated, and when they all came to meet Bhishma on the deathbed, arrow bed, he himself confesses he was a traitor to Dharma, Atatayin. In the famous Bhishma Stuti, 10 verses, Bhagavata, Pratamaskandha, he says, I am a traitor to Dharma. Atatayin means Agnidaha, Garadaha, one who sets fire to the house of a person, one who does injustice to the wife of a person. Kshetra Dharapaharakaha, such a man is called a traitor to Dharma. I am a traitor, he says. This simple thing Arjuna couldn't understand. He looked at him as a grandfather. I'll remind my doctor friend here, when you treat me as a patient, I am a patient and not a scholar. Treat me as a patient. On the table of examination table, dissection table, whatever you call it, there is no relation other than that of a patient and a doctor. This was the one small thing that Arjuna couldn't comprehend. Krishna had to give 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita lectures to make him understand, see, these are traitors to Dharma. Bhishma was a victim to the dishonoring of your wife. He was a responsible person for the partition of the whole empire. And the Pandavas were exiled and he did not have a word of courtesy for them. So how did Krishna react? During the Sandhana period, Krishna visited Hastinavati and Bhishma offered host to him. Krishna wouldn't even look at him. Krishna wouldn't look at even Drona or Kripa, Karna and many other people. He went to the house of Vidura and took shelter there. There are reasons given by him. Bhishma wouldn't understand even this much. I have wounded the feelings of Krishna somewhere. He has booked me as an adharmin at a time. Bhishma wouldn't understand. How could Arjuna understand? Some people have the habit of describing an old man with or without knowledge as a Bhishmacharya. It's an insult. Pejawar Swamiji, without knowing this ramification, on a Guru Purnima day in Mysore, when people were trying to honor me, he sat by my side and said, "Here is a Bhishmacharya." I said, "Swamiji, I am neither a Bhishmacharya nor a Dronacharya, I am just a Vidura. I am just a Vidura." See, traditional scholars even today, Bhishma is a devotee of Krishna because of his Sahasranama. Sahasranama is great. Do you know Sahasranama was not the creation of Bhishma?
Yes, you are told.
There were several hundreds of generations before him. It was something handed over to him. Rishibhir Bahuda Geetam, Chandovir Vividaihi Prathak Bhagavad Gita. See, there is a tradition for everything. The rishis who contributed to Bhagavad Gita, contributed to Vishnu Sahasranama, each one of them dedicated a whole life to one particular Srinama Bhagavad Gita. Trikakubdhama, for example. Ashwatha, so on. Anuhu, Bruhati, Krishaha, Sthulaha, as you said. Each one of them is a telescopic sort, is a kaleidoscopic sort of picture of the whole world. And you find these names on the tablets in the Sindhu Valley, in Saraswati Valley. In my introduction to Vishnu Sahasranama, a book produced by my good friend Narayan Swami, I have written an elaborate introduction saying tablets have been found in Syria, in Iraq, in many other Middle East countries and so on. So Bhagavad Gita was not the creation of Vishnu, he simply recited it. Why? Because he was a parrot. Dharmaraja was another parrot. When Kunti was asked by Sri Krishna at the end of the Santana failure, "Madam, what shall I tell your sons?" What shall I tell Dharmaraja particularly? Kunti said, "You are like a stupid Vedic scholar who has power to recite and memorize the whole of the Veda without knowing the meaning. Darvi suparasaniva. You prepare a sweet soup and you have a ladle to mix it up again and again. But however deep you mix it up with, yes, the ladle doesn't understand the suparasa. There are walls here. Do they understand my lecture? There are all of you here. I am not sure whether all of you share all of my feelings at all levels every time. I don't know. There are variations in the mind. Similarly, in the whole of the Kaurava army, there was not one who could not side with the Pandavas. The great heroes among the Pandavas were only 2 or 3. One was a woman called Draupadi. She was both a devotee and a scholar and a practical politician, one who knew how to administer. She was a great friend of Satyabhama Devi in Mahabharata. Satyabhama could drive a chariot for Krishna, advise him to take aim at the enemies, and it was she who took him to Banasura, took him to Narakasura and so on. Draupadi was a mastermind. Unfortunately, the stupid Kauravas wouldn't understand the mind of a Draupadi. How many of you have tears for a Draupadi? One of our I am sorry. I hope I have not irritated you. One of the Kannada poets who won perhaps the first Jnanapita award makes this very irritating remark on Draupadi. Ranachandiyu ಆ ಬೆಂಕಿಯ ಮಗಳು, ಹೆಣ್ಣಿನ ರೂಪದ ಬರಸಿಡಿಲವಳು. ರಣಚಂಡಿಯು ಆ ಬೆಂಕಿಯ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಗ್ನಿ, ಬೆಂಕಿ. The word Agni has an aura about it. The word Benki doesn't have it. Benki is, you can use it for a cigarette. Agni is only for ಹೋಮ ಅಂಡ್ ಹವನ. ರಣಚಂಡಿಯು ಆ ಬೆಂಕಿಯ ಮಗಳು, ಹೆಣ್ಣಿನ ರೂಪದ ಬರಸಿಡಿಲವಳು. A close friend of mine who was a scholar who said it was because of Draupadi whole war took place and everybody was destroyed. I asked him, sir, if what happened to Draupadi it had happened to your daughter, what would you have done? You have no daughter, therefore you don't understand the feelings of a woman who was tried to be exposed publicly naked in an august assembly of gamblers, worst fellows on the world assembled for a wicked purpose. He had no reply. Our Sanskrit scholars don't have a word of sympathy for Draupadi. It was Krishna who remembered Draupadi even at the time of his departure to the other world. Nati swastha manayevo. He remembered, he did not remember Balrama. He did not remember Devaki. He did not remember Vasudeva. He did not remember anybody else. He remembered only Draupadi, my sister. I could not help you in the nick of the moment of your help. You called me, but I could not come. Draupadi probably answered him, sir, you have helped me by wrapping up with colorful saris and all that. Krishna could have said, he did say in his own mind, it was my name that helped you. I personally did not come to help you. You called me Govinda. That name helped you. My name helped you, but I didn't help. See, in the course of our own present experiences sometimes, it so happens you mention the name of an important man and your work is done. Names do work. Nama chidvivaktana. Brahate Vishnu Sumatim Bhajamahe. In the Rig Veda, it's also repeated in the Yajurveda, Nama Chidvivaktana. You recite the names of the Lord after knowing the full meaning of each one of them because there is an experience behind. They are not mere words. Words in the Veda have mantras, they have the mantra effect. And the mantras immediately take you to the other world, the rapport happens to you, and what cannot happen to you by any other means happens to you through a Vedic word. That's the power. That's the power of Bhagavad Gita. I'll give you an example. Take the word Udasina, Udasinaha. It's only Aurobindo whom I have found very highly satisfactory. What is Udasina? Our Kannada people have a magical, wonderful power for mismanagement and wrong meanings. Udasina means indifference. Is it true? You become Udasina. You may be sitting by my side, but if you have been thinking of something else, you are Udasina. I have no means of understanding. I have no means of diving deep into your hearts. Udasina means be indifferent. Don't take it very seriously. That is not Udasina. Udasina. Sit high above and view things below. If you want to see a village, for example, ploughed fields, oxen, and then a small tank here and there, and a dozen houses in a hamlet and so on. If you sit at the foot of the hill, you will see only ugly things, insanitary conditions, pigs here and there, cocks and bulls everywhere. But you sit high and you see everything falls into a pattern. Everything falls into a pattern. That is, Udasina means, therefore, viewing at the world from God's point of view, which very few people can do. Looking at the world from God's point of view. In chapter number 8 at the end, Tasyaham ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha. Tasyaham sulabha partha. God is sulabha, no doubt, but is also inaccessible to many people. He is within us, he is also without us. Tad dure, tadvanti. Upanishad says, God is far and farther away from most people, but he is most inward to some people because he doesn't allow you to sleep without you remembering him. Even if you forget him, he will not forget you. Now this proximity and this distance, how does it happen? It happens because if your mind is free from blemishes, impurities, kama, krodha and so on, if your mind is open, like a seat unoccupied by any unworthy person, a seat not even touched by a dog or a cat, keep it open, he will come and occupy it. If it is full of these inimical forces, God will say, first clear them and then I will come. Ananya chetaha satatam, one who remembers me without a second thought, without a second misleading direction, without a second object of meditation. If he devotes his all attention totally to me, total inwardness with in the integral yoga, ananya chetaha satatam, you see, ananya chetaha, number one, satatam, nityashaha. See how much of emphasis is given. If you do that, tasyaham sulabhav partha, I am so easy accessible to him. Why? Because whether he likes me or no, I myself up, because I take him, I pick him up. Ahame vatam vrane, I will love him. His love may vary because of the body conditions, but my love for him will never fail. See, this saulabhya parakashta is what you teach in the Bhagavad Gita. In no avatar do you see God mixing up with his own devotees with so much of ease, sitting at the foot of Arjuna, doing the work of a menial servant like a charioteer, and directing him again and again to the most important places where enemies had to be hounded, and then picking up the sharp arrow buds from the bodies of the horses, washing them, and giving his hand to Arjuna to get down the chariot, helping him to get into the chariot, putting it in the garage proper. See, I don't know whether a driver of a car will ever help you to achieve these things. I was once taken to a place by a car. There was a driver, of course. I had some little luggage of books with this and that. When I got down, there was no servant to help me. I asked the driver, please help me to remove the books from the dicky. The driver said, no sir, I am only a driver. I am only a driver. A teacher of mine had gone to Australian University, and in the middle of the way where he had to reach the university, the car broke down. My teacher asked him, the driver, now get the car repaired so that we can reach. He said, sir, I am only a driver. I am not a repairer. I am not a garage man. But my teacher was so irritated, he couldn't help until a substitute came, and then the same car was driven to the destination. And the angered teacher, do you know what he said to the people? Now this man, this driver, wretched fellow, likes coffee. Give him tea. That's the punishment. Give him something doesn't like. He can neither swallow it nor throw. No. What is this great Saulabhya of Sri Krishna? Saulabhya, Saushilya. All that is to be seen in the Bhagavad Gita, in the word for word meaning, or the traditional commentaries of Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva. You very often miss all these things. Ihayavata irjata sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha. Ihayavate. Yesham samye sthitam mana. If you keep your mind in equanimity, you have already conquered rebirth. Keep your mind undisturbed, you will never be put into a recycle of the life. Now, there are several such hundreds of quotations within those 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. My now present duty is to pick up these rare words and rare meanings and the aura of their meanings, and to present them to the modern youngsters Indians particularly settled abroad, and perhaps Christians who want to come back to Hinduism. There is a lot of dearth in the Western countries. They all look at India as a country of spirituality. When the so-called Mahatma Gandhi was doing his Bharatla examination in London, someone asked him, Gandhi, you come from India, do you know the Bhagavad Gita? He said, what is Bhagavad Gita? Gandhi asked, what is Bhagavad Gita? He was put to shame. When he came back to India and he was involved in the various unwanted movements, do you know how he read the Bhagavad Gita? In his bathroom, there was a board. Someone would write a verse of Bhagavad Gita, and every day, and till the evening, he would mug up and memorize the Bhagavad Gita. To avoid the shame, he earned at England. My mother told me, when I was a boy of 9, my father was bedridden. My child, you read the Bhagavad Gita. There were 2 or 3 beautiful copies. I told my mother, I don't understand a word of Bhagavad Gita. My mother was the first teacher. She told me, you read the Gita, it will make me understand what it is. You read the Gita without your effort to understand. One day you will become a teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. Mother. I am happy that my esteemed friend Sri Ritwik Subramanya has brought out this book today. This is the 2nd edition. The first draft I wrote was as for an introduction to a different book by an institute. I gave lectures in Bombay, and then I rewrote, and then when I had some money out of lectures, I myself published it at the Kautilya Institute. I am happy one of my friends mentioned Kautilya Institute. I couldn't find a successor. I have a hope that my young friend Mr. Ritwik will continue that work. I will support you. I have dozens of books written in English. I wish one day or the other they will see the flame of light. Thank you all very much. Shri Krishna Parabhupada.